noo lañ def ñoo ñëw ak yéen rek skincare plus nara jàkkaarloo ak yéen waxtaan ak yéen tuuti rek si suñu tube suñu baax emuñ rek ci ay diw waaye comme ni ngeen ko xamee rek dañoo yëngu ci ay tube te yënguwuñ nag si just any tube suñ tube bu nekk 5 star jesna la 5 star jesna mooy jesna bi gën a pire moom la ñoo tube palmaan bi gën a fort moom la ñoo liggéeyee ñun rek si tube dara du doy day des not only dañoo tube but bu la neexee ñu tuubal la ba pare nag ñawal la. We're not all about skin. We are skin, care, and the plus does come in so many different ways.
No, ini bara.
Okay. Welcome. Basically, lot of lala me along is cool, man. That I can really relax.
What the madam?
Yeah,
what the madam?
Yeah.
Let me do somebody.
That's right.
Grand Villa.
Grand Villa.
That's fine.
Slowly. Yes. No.
Yeah, actually, a lot of people are basically me along is very relaxed. So it's basically like I can miss
Nina Fani say what? Nidia, Nena Grand Villa is the best guest house in the Gambia.
Beji andika Grand Villa Guest House. Na labungul bebe senyaring adu na bungul bebe nyarandiring coming ibela fila ila suwe taranyame. Until Grand Villa na kiliano la lafino wale mukangwati intel kang. Na ye sabati Grand Villa yela kodo na fa kalamuta.
Oh man, this is like a paradise.
I know.
I so much love this place.
Yes, thank you.
Trust me, I love this place.
You can move someone and watching one.
Yeah.
And you to Gambia. Grand Villa.
I tell you. I love this place. Okay.
Yes.
I love this place, man. Oh yeah.
Ni lefta na kuo keso sotola. Futama Oljuntum Paradise Estate. Mbaya kumandiroke 7527-218. Wale futana website auto www.grandvillaguesthouse.com. Grand Villa Guest House.
Dreaming of owning a property in a prime location with great proximity and fantastic neighborhood? EJ Investments Sanyang Seaview Estate is the best choice you have been waiting for. Our Sanyang Seaview Estate is approximately 15 minutes drive away from the busy hub of Brusubi roundabout and into the heart of nature, where you can have a peaceful and relaxed lifestyle with your family. You can buy a finished 4-bedroom story with 5-year flexible payment plan or a service plot with 2-year payment plan option. With over 300 homes, you will enjoy big tar roads with covered drainage, modern electrification with solar street lights, gated entrance with security post, and a breath-catching experience of our beautiful sea view and lake view. You can own a home today at our Sanyang Seaview Estate. Call us today on 446-4838 or 325-9220. Visit our website on ejinvestments.net. EJ Investments, first in property.
la domoro ka diaten
boy janno CK's restaurant
sa na ko be ni na dimbal nimba domoro kala janno
domoro seneyata adiyata topotoro fanan kende ma bije luntan during tamala abeka domoro ki janni adi manda wala de te ka we bijele anim fanan ka fadi jang ikono e fa e ka fa minne ko pastry anim bakery iko fanan be kalele badde lomba conference lomba workshop lomba ye fo pendin lo dunia kono domoro betama nyillom international o tewoda number 1
amanke ba domoro jandama
esa domo jang is atariya
wo mu kubandi
sa na ko sa futandin
oto sa na ko be mu CK's restaurant
dafa na janna mu yat ni manje dorom bijam
aban
CK's restaurant, known for best quality food and customer satisfaction.
na broda min ba Europe ni sta konte nka bo wala kol kan sai na so ko na mano banta jabo banta tulo ban sai ka bo wala kol kan da ka ba office ko na ba dama bulo mutarin ba ka ta fintilano ni kon batu ngane ta ya puriye ma ko do banta na ta mano sa ni tulo ni jabo
mun da be te la broda man balwo service kalam
mun service
balwo service
ni da furonte mo kalam
mun da a fe la broda ko abitala internet ol aya ba site la woldo balwo.com nay wo sajje a apo ñu ba download la telephone la na be sandiro to ni wal na be sidin ala office ko ndama manjar pour ay ta bank ko kodoki abe sidin office ko da minto e do message so e telephone ko no e bitiko be Gambia dawda bitiko ba bele ko ta tano dawda yeta fenko tawo wodama
yala bari wa service na ta mo da han mata nyo le kan fijan na bro dan ka ko mata nyo la ayo ko ta han
balwo service dinkirala jampo o manken na kolaya ko balwo service al demano kaje ko ale domor feŋol sang alla dimbaya molu ana lakkanun tewol wato bela ani wad sudum fanan kono balwo service la dinkiralu ani la do kunyolu e be banko karo beto kabirin katon fo koyna nalla fa ko ku ko tan so balwo service la kolto ali commandi telephone la no la milbuko 9400213 7694319 wala 3192870 wala hankabi alta internet oto alila kolu jibe www.baluwo.com.
Do you live abroad and want to build your dream home in the Gambia without risking your funds and family ties? Do you want a household name that is trustworthy and efficient? A name that will continue to give you updates on the project from the beginning to the very end with videos and pictures? If your answer is yes, then worry no more. Boss Construction and Asset Management is here for you. If you live outside the Gambia and want to build your dream home, then this is ideal for you. Just reach out to Boss Construction and let's start building the dream home into a reality. With Boss Construction, the difference is clear. We give you value for money. Some of our services includes the following: construction management, building equipment rentals, rent management, purchase and leasing, asset management, and many more. For more information, please contact 282-4945. Better still, send us an email, bossgambia@gmail.com, or you can also visit our website on www.bossgambia.com. Boss Construction, a name you can trust. Boss Construction and Asset Management, keeping families together.
Hello and welcome to the Brunch on Kerfatu. I'm Lamin Cham presenting. Once again, welcome to you wherever you are watching and listening to us from across the world. And if you are Gambian, well, thank you very much for following events back home. This week, of course, is dominated by two major events, and this program will look at all about in detail if time allows. One, the much talk about draft constitution has been released. This program will look at the most salient or perhaps controversial points in the draft with legal luminaries and media gurus in the studio. We will also look at the two bills who have already sparked controversy even before they are tabled before the National Assembly. That is the Media Commission Bill, rather the Media Service Bill, as well as the much criticized amendments to, if you like, the Criminal Code, if you like. And with me in the studio to do this is starting, of course, from my immediate right, Lamin Jahate. He is the head of programs at the Gambia Press Union and is also a journalist. Mr. Jahate.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Good. And Almame Fandin Tal, a lawyer, is in the studio. He will help us go through this to give us a professional perspective of what these things are all about. And then Mustafa Kedavo of Kerfatu, who has also been following this topic, will also give us insights. And then, of course, later in the program, the other topic is the expulsion of about 7 National Assembly members by the United Democratic Party, the party with the majority of parliamentarians in our National Assembly. Again, this will be the duty of the party's spokesperson in Almame Fandintal to give us more information on that. So gentlemen, welcome to the program. These are the two topics in front of us. I will first go to Almame Fandintal. The much talked about draft constitution has been released. Looking at it, what we have just been going through since Friday, when it was Friday or Saturday? Thursday perhaps. Did anything come to your mind that's really surprised you, that you think actually should have been there and is not there, or something that's left out and should have been there?
I think we need to start from the first principle and acknowledge and recognize the tremendous amount of work that has gone into the draft. And to also pay tribute, really, to the chairman and his entire commission. These are very, very distinguished Gambians. They have done a seminal and outstanding service to the nation. Making constitution in the 21st century comes with a lot of challenges. And therefore, achieving this task within time, I think is something that all Gambians should take pride in, and do the right thing by taking the time and look at the Constitution in some detail, especially those of us calling ourselves legal practitioners. Even though a quick reading of it would show that it was not written really for lawyers. It was written for the people. And in some ways, it was even written by the people because of the participatory and wide-ranging consultations that the commission went through. So that said, some of the things that jump at me particularly is that if you are planning to change the architecture of governance, I think from first principle, we need to consider 3 fundamental things. What are the substantive rights that you want to declare?
Okay.
The so-called, not so-called really, the fundamental human rights.
Yeah.
These are not given by law.
Yeah.
They are not given by governments. They are God-given rights.
Yeah.
Now, if you state them clearly, the second and important task is how do you realize them? Okay. Because the description of something and the truth of something does not guarantee its realization. So the third important thing is that in a democracy, the resources are contributed by all of us.
Yeah.
How do you manage those resources to help realize these fundamental basic rights that have been declared in the Constitution?
So in your view, each of these three things you outlined covered sufficiently in this draft?
In my very superficial reading of the Constitution, yes, they are covered, but not to the extent that I would have preferred. Because, for example, there is a model that I have been looking at, that is the Kenya Constitution of 2010, because it's contemporaneous.
Yes.
And we have the same legal culture.
Okay.
And within the Kenya Constitution, they have a commission for the division of revenue.
Okay.
So the treasury function, that is the Ministry of Finance, and the collecting of revenue and all of those things, they have corporatized it.
Oh.
So it becomes like a service that is provided to government planning and government development. They have also at the constituency level, at the county level, formulas that ensure that these basic rights, health, education, and all of those things are being realized directly by the people. You have a constituency development fund. Every constituency in Kenya has a fund where, you know, the parliamentarian will come and explain and will account again for the spending of that fund. So development quickly gets to the people. If you are in Wuli or you are in Sutukoba, you know, your MP will say that we want water here.
Yes.
We are very close to the River Gambia. What are the practicalities involved in getting that basic human rights? So for me, that architecture, I have not been able to discern from the draft. But this is the caveat. This is a very superficial reading. I have done. I haven't completed reading it. And I would, again, go back to where I started. I think the work of the Commission speaks for itself, is really, really outstanding in every sense of the word. However, a constitution is also a blueprint of how do you want to move in the 21st century. It is also a vision statement. For me, this vision is what really I need to really read further to understand whether that vision, the vision thing, is also projected inside the Constitution.
All right, Mustafa. Well, it's been since 1997 since we have a Constitution, and people, of course, debate when and how do the country need a new Constitution. We know, of course, from 97 onwards, we have seen a lot of problems with our governance, with our way of life, politically and socially. So everybody thought that we need perhaps a new Constitution that can correct all the ills we had in the last 22 years, all the remnants, inadequacies in the 1997 Constitution. This draft, does it really satisfy any of your misgivings about the 1997 one? And how do you think the corrections have been covered?
So there are a lot of good things in the document, and I mean, even when Mr. Justice Jallo was actually presenting the draft to the people, to the journalists, even from the statement he read, you realize there are a lot of changes, and the list of things he named, some of the things we all aspire to have, like the term limit of the presidency, the qualification of the presidency. Of course, still there are some disagreements over that. the 50+1, such that the president, whoever becomes the president of this country, would rule at least with the mandate of over 50% of the population. So those are good things. But for me, the most important thing that this country has been grappling with from independence is the issue of corruption. And how do you fight that?
Okay.
And the Constitution fell short in addressing that. For me, if we want to address corruption, we must not wait until things fall apart for us to investigate them. It should make sure that sitting presidents are investigated. Sitting presidents can be so to do that, in my opinion, this Constitution should have separated the issue of the Attorney General and the Justice Minister, such that the Attorney General would be an independent office of the government that will play this oversight function over all government institutions. Anybody who violated the law can be investigated, and independently from the control or monitoring of the president. And this person should be difficult for the president to be able to hire and fire this person at will.
And you haven't seen anything like that?
No, there is no such thing.
So that's your first beef about it. Any other one?
Well, but if I just may interject, because I think it's important that we try to look at the relevant models that have been made recently.
Okay.
In South Africa, you have the Office of the Public Protector. And I think maybe that is what Mustafa would like to have.
Yes, yes.
Because, you know, the function of the Office of the Attorney General differs in a lot of countries. Principally here, he is the chief legal advisor to the government. Not the president, the government. What that means...
And he decides who's prosecuted and not.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now
those two responsibilities.
Yeah. The effort has been made. Like I said, I haven't read into some detail, but I see the Director of Public Prosecution has been maintained
and
as a constitutional
as
a constitutional office under this constitution. But I think we need to go further and have some form of institutional innovation this way. That if you want to fight corruption, what exactly do you want to put in place? Corruption happens in private. Corruption is a two-way street. I mean, it is all over the world, not only Gambia. But you must create the ecosystem that discourages or destroys the opportunities for corruption.
Isn't this, I'll interrupt you. Isn't this provision such as declaration of assets before and after leaving office? Are not enough?
I mean,
those are there. Those are there.
Yeah, they're not.
That is so insignificant when you talk about state corruption. Because what has happened, for example, in South Africa, you have the capacity for someone to hijack the state.
Yes.
What is known as state capture.
The Guptas.
So what you want to do is to create an ecosystem, like I was saying earlier. In Kenya, they have corporatized the treasury functions of government. So they have also modernized it. Because
when you say they corporatized, do you mean they give the treasury to individuals who are not directly?
No. They made it like a corporation that has a legal entity. Because, you know, we have financial reporting standards, we have financial management standards and, prisms, that are used to check certain things. For example, if you want to pay with your mobile phone, you cannot do it in the Gambia. Of course, you can buy Nopal, because you take out the cash and give it to the dealer, and somebody can transfer even this credit to you, and you can buy cash power with it. I'm just saying that all these systemic and technical capabilities, if they are embedded within the architecture of governance, it would prevent or minimize corruption. For example, 90% of our revenue comes from direct taxation. That is the duties that people pay at GRA. But anybody who has ever cleared things out of the GRA will tell you is a nightmare.
It's still a nightmare.
Because there is so much steps.
Yes.
And every step of the way, expose you to
corruption,
yes.
bribery, etc.
Well, I'm just saying that
Yeah,
if we use the available technologies now, and we corporatize these functions, because these are functions that are actually done pursuant to a service. Everybody is supposed, if you have a bank account, you're supposed to be taxed. If you are employed, you are supposed to be taxed. So these are things that can be managed almost based on just a click of a button. So really, I think conflating every possible legal action, legal advice within the Ministry of Justice and the Attorney General's office, I think it's not a modernizing trend. Everywhere you go in the world, they have an ecosystem approach to this thing.
I see.
Because you cannot depend on only one person to know everything.
Exactly.
But I want to relate that also to another weakness that I have quickly seen in the Constitution,
which is
the way law is made, the legislative function.
Wow.
Yes, they have come up with a new...
Even how National Assembly can put laws?
Yes.
They've changed it?
No, they haven't.
Okay.
They haven't changed it significantly. In fact, they have gone back to just what we had here, especially when it comes to money bills. That only the finance minister can present that. Other bills can be presented by both the minister and members of the National Assembly, quite apart from this private members bill. Because I had a lot of people talk about it. What innovation has come is this National Assembly Commission. I mean, where you have the speaker, deputy speaker, like that. What I did not see there is the Parliamentary Council. And I think an office of something like the Chief Parliamentary Council, at par with the Cabinet Secretary, should be in this new constitution. Because unless you have that bureaucracy and that support mechanism to Parliament, Parliament would not be able to carry out its functions. Again, the Parliament should now move to being a permanent sitting Parliament.
I see. From this
sessional, sessional, because they have to be going to work like everybody else, and then they have holidays.
Yeah, that's
so. But this would require, of course, that they have offices, they have staff at their office. They have offices in their constituencies, so that the people can directly access them whenever they are in their constituency. They must also work for the country.
I'm sure if as you said, it's in the case in Kenya, if they had this constituency development fund, they would have. I mean, it would have been much more relevant for the parliamentarian to have offices over in the constituency as well as in the capital or whatever. Yeah, but let's move on to Mr. Jahate. Before we come to the specifics, the area that affects journalists like you and me, let me just have your outline of this draft constitution. Then we come to the bills that are also going to be tabled later.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. Let me start like that did by commending the CRC for the tremendous job, the amazing job that they have done. Because a lot of us initially were a bit pessimistic, thinking that the time frame that is given to the CRC to come with the draft constitution was so limited. So we thought they might not be able to finish their job within the time frame, but we have seen that they were able to do exactly that. That is sticking to the time frame. So they need commendation for that. I mean, after that also, I think Gambians in themselves, in ourselves, need to be congratulated for this process, because it is our views, it is our aspiration that we assume that the CRC must have captured in the constitution, because they've gone nationwide and even beyond Gambia to make Gambians everywhere where they are, to make sure that they know what they're thinking, to know their views, to know their aspirations. Those aspirations today we think are codified in the document. After that also, having gone through the constitution, well, as a person, I think I was so biased by my profession, because when the first draft was up, all that I did was to go through the content and see the provisions or the sections that specifically talk about the media. Of course, also as a person who is passionate about the citizenship, right? So I also brushed through the new provision on citizenship. And the second thing that I did was only to look at the section on the media. And I think so far, to give a general overview, I think they are progressive compared to the old constitution. I think the section on the media for now are progressive.
Okay, let's pick the salient points. Perhaps I'll go back to Mr.
We have two of our lawyers there anyways. We have L.S. Kamara and our Sister Saban.
Let's go to the salient points. One of the things we talk about, what I want to talk about is, one, people wanted to know what the new constitution will talk about the eligibility to contest public offices next time. There was one almame which says, if you want to be president of the republic, you must have a bachelor's degree or 5 years experience, work, or a high school certificate with 12 years work. But it is not clear what type of work is being. Do you think there is ambiguity here, or this is left?
I saw an accompanying explanatory memorandum from the commission.
Okay.
I haven't had the opportunity to read it.
Yeah.
But generally there is an interpretation section to the constitution and to any law.
Okay.
Then it may give you the details as to what is meant by work within the context of the new constitution. Of course, it is sufficient to say that generally we all know what work is about. If you go to your farm and you are clearing your farm and you are planting things and you are harvesting, I mean, this is work. I mean, is that work that we are talking about? No, I mean, that's what I'm saying. So it is important that the constitution, since it is using it as a key indicator or criterion, it explains to all of us what it means by that.
Mustafa, are you saying there has been an explanation on that?
No.
Yeah, no, so far not. Mr. Jahate?
So, but work is just work.
So,
it's
no,
is in black and qualified, obviously.
So that is
work is work.
So if I attended high school and later became a fisherman, or became
you've been working.
So that
But you have been working.
A fisherman, or I became a car repairer or a tire mender. I have experience. If I stayed 12 years on doing that, isn't it?
My assumption here is that the type of work they are referring to might be the formal work.
Which is,
for example, after high school, you've been a teacher, for example. Even as an unqualified teacher, you don't necessarily need to go to the college. As an unqualified teacher for 12 years, you should be able to be a president after high school. Maybe even as a security guard, a formal security guard, for example, Uncle Sam, having served Uncle Sam for 12 years because it's work and it's a formal work. Having served Uncle Sam for 12 years, you should be able to contest for president, for example.
Let's come to the details now.
Yeah.
Because the devil is in the details. What about a businessman?
It depends on the type of business also.
Does in business fit in that work, Malmame, you think?
I mean, all these things that are described here, they
all fit there. They are businesses.
Of course. Uncle Sam is a private business.
Yeah. So, Mustafa, people who might be critical or people who are advocates actually of higher education or some quality education for eligibility criteria might feel disappointed that and the bar is still low.
Yeah, well, if I would be biased towards the so-called uneducated, there are those who may not necessarily have a degree, but they have are they intelligent enough to be president. That does happen. There may be those, of course, there's a risk in that, because if you go in for someone who does not necessarily have a certificate, there is no representation. There is nothing to represent to signify that the person in fact knows anything. So that's the risk there though. But of course there are people who may not necessarily have bachelor's degree, but they are smart enough to become, they're good, intelligent enough to become presidents.
I mean, beyond the bias or explaining one way or the other, we have to also contextualize this. That, I mean, we are Muslims, we are Africans, we are divided in our different ethnic groups. We have institutions of leadership in all these sides of our personality. And I think they could be useful guides as to what should it take for us to have a good leader. I mean, we have an education system in the Gambia. I mean, everybody wants their kids to go through, you know,
school,
yes, the best schools, you know, go all the way. If they have the scholarship, if they have the ability, that's what we want. Because we want to create an enlightened society. I made reference to our Islamic heritage simply because everybody who read the biography of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam knew that in Mecca, even in his teens, there was nobody who could impugn his character. Even when he got married, you know, everybody knew that this is a great man, this is a good man. But he did not become a prophet until he was 40.
40 or so.
So, I mean, I have always thought that that was an instructive lesson. Because sometimes that the lesson is not written.
Exactly.
It is demonstrated. And the first revealed ayah of the Quran is Iqra.
Read.
So I mean, learning, experience, and age. I think these are the three objective criteria
are indispensable
that we need to look at honestly as Gambians and dispassionately, you know, because if you look at it, they are also saying that to be a member of National Assembly, you need to be 21 years and have 8 years experience. I mean, how can you be
21
and have 8 years experience?
You would have started in 15 years.
Yes.
Not possible, yes.
Yeah, so I mean, we have to also reflect, because the Constitution tries to say that we have a culture and we need to look at it to see what kind of society we want to be. I mean, and I see there is a statement of intent as to the philosophy that we are a multi-party democracy. I mean, I am all for that. I think we need the divergent threads of our personality to be brought to the task of nation building. But we are also a very small country. And I think, I mean, we have given competition a lot of opportunities, and it has gotten us here. I think we should also try to be a cooperative democracy. Cooperative in the sense that we are solidarity, we are inclusive, and we are all tasked with building one Gambia and one nation. I think, you know, the other day, I think I was either with him or one of your colleagues at this consultation workshop organized at Kairawa. Yes, and the IEC official said that there are 15 political parties in the offing.
It will make a total of 15 new ones coming?
Yes.
My goodness.
So really, I think, I mean, as much as we would like to have competition in the Gambia, we should also be wary of those people engaged in vanity projects. Because there are some who have been taking the posture of being independent, but in reality they just disagree with the political parties that are already in place. But in time we will see all of these shades. And let us be very honest about this. The Constitution as the fundamental law of the land and the supreme law of the land must reflect those kind of realities in terms of our culture, in terms of our values, so that some of these criteria, objective as they are, we must also not make the same mistake that was made in the 1997 Constitution. You know, everything was tried, was framed so as to benefit
one person.
One person.
All right. The other salient point, or unless you have something to add to this, how to call it, this eligibility, is the matter of citizenship. Didn't she say that even if you are born here, of parents that are not here, you still have to go through some process to become a citizen? etc.
If you are born here,
what do you understand of that? Because
of course, the citizenship.
any person who's born in the Gambia is considered a citizen, unless.
No, you are considered a citizen if you're born in the Gambia.
But there are
I think the provision in the new constitution is like that.
Said
anybody who is
no longer
born in the
automatic.
Gambia, it's not. It has never been automatic.
No,
it has never been.
But then, of course, it had always been seen to be automatic.
No. There has never been
I keep telling people
there is no birth.
It's not automatic that when you are born in Gambia, you are a Gambian.
But what I'm saying is there might be a law which says that's not the case, but in practice, that's what has been happening.
No,
I'm not even so.
You don't think that people have been born here?
No, that's because of the misconception of those people.
No,
people have been thinking that when I'm born in Gambia.
I have seen people who came from Guinea and Senegal. They're even here right now. They're children, they're Gambians. They have never been any process.
Yeah, but that's not the point.
I'm not saying there's a law which says that shouldn't be the case, but that's what's the case in practice.
Yes, so but in the new constitution right now,
it's very clear as to how you acquire citizenship.
The
but it's not been the case. It's not been practicalized.
No, the constitution actually on citizenship is very clear. It just says that every person who is born, if you are born in the Gambia, you are a citizen. The constitution, let me read this part. Every person born in or outside the Gambia after the coming into force of this constitution shall become a citizen of the Gambia at the time of his or her birth, if at the time of his or her birth, or both of his parents or her parents or grandparents is or was a citizen of the Gambia. That's the one part.
Not this.
No, that's when you are citizenship by birth.
Yes.
So, but it also says any person who prior to coming into force of this constitution was a citizen by descent. It's also
it's
a
now
citizen.
citizen by birth.
It's now citizen by birth.
Exactly.
So even what used to happen is in the old constitution or in the existing constitution, which will phase out very soon. If you are born to Gambia to Gambian parents, at the time of your birth, one of your parents are Gambian. That is either father or mother. But the progression or the development in this case is that it's adding your grandparents there. Initially, that wasn't the case. It's only when your father or mother is a Gambian.
So that's one
now
point.
it has gone a step further to say one of your even if your grandparent, one of them is a Gambian, you are eligible to be a Gambian.
Now, what is
But also now, if you are found in the Gambia and you are under the age of 8, automatically you will be presumed to be a Gambian.
And if your parents are not known, there is a caveat to that.
Yes.
Okay, somebody whose parents, both parents are not Gambians, and is born here in the Gambia, what does he say about that? And what do you understand?
The parents are not Gambians?
Yes.
If you are born here, you are a Gambian.
Yeah.
Even when your parents are not Gambian.
Yes, that's what the constitution is saying. But for me, importantly, I think in the age of ECOWAS, in the age of African integration, really this kind of hacking back to the colonial borders in West Africa, in Africa generally, I don't think it helps anybody. It is what inflame Ivory Coast.
Problem, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, it just brings problems. And I think that is also one of the weaknesses that I think are in this constitution. I mean, there is no Pan-African vision. There is no West African vision.
But isn't it important also for us to identify who can get our access service to our
So what it does, what Almame is trying to explain is that what it does, but what it does, when you restrict citizenship that much, when you restrict, try to avoid people who are born in the Gambia become citizens automatically, it generates the issue of statelessness. And there are millions of that. Like that's why it's making reference to the Ivory Coast problem. Say for instance, you're born in the Gambia to foreigners. And they said you're not a Gambian. Then you are stateless.
No, it doesn't follow.
Yeah, you will not be stateless.
No, I mean, for me, this is why I don't want to go down this rabbit hole. I'm trying to fight against narrow nationalism or in the African context. Because, you know, we Africans have this problem. You can travel to Banjul, to Senegal, up all the way to Abuja without any problem. This is how it used to be before the colonial project. But 50 years, no, just let me finish my point. 50 years after the colonial project, we decided in 1975 to have an economic community. A community is bigger than a state. We created a community where all the old bonds,
boundaries,
you know, they have become, you know, rather fluid.
Yeah.
Most importantly, you live in a very connected global economy.
Yeah.
If you are not friends with your neighbors, if you are not living in peace in your neighborhood, what you have is that you will have what is it called? Ecomic, ecomok. You will have all these things happening because somebody is raising the specter of this narrow
nationalism.
Yes. So these are real issues in the 21st century, and this whole idea of statelessness and, you know, disenfranchising people because they were either accidentally born somewhere or not
should all be scrapped.
It shouldn't be the philosophy that we go into the
I
future.
heard an ECOWAS official speaking at one of the forums. He said, in my part of the country, Liberia and Sierra Leone, Liberia and Guinea, he said, you know, there are people who, when you're talking to them, they told you, they are in Liberia, for example. You find them in Liberia, they're born there, they will tell you, well, I've just come from voting. He said, where? He said, I've just been voting in Sierra Leone. When the Liberian election also come, the Sierra Leoneans will go and I'm voting. They said, there's no way you can control them. They have 2 ID cards, 2 receipts, 2 voters cards. So I think
that's a bit of a problem. In that kind of a situation, you will avoid that.
So how do you avoid that? That's
why you restrict citizens.
Thank you so much. It's not about
I am not suggesting that we don't restrict citizens.
Yeah.
I am saying that in the making of a constitution, we must understand the context within which we are living.
Yeah.
This is a whole community.
Okay.
And if you have 1%, 0%, 0.5% doing these kind of things, when you have effective government and a capable state, these kind of things, they don't
matter anymore. The other salient point is, of course, the term limit. We know, of course, the constitution is stating that there will be 2 terms for president, 2 terms. But then, curiously, it says that at the time of the release of the constitution, like November 15th, the incumbent shall be deemed to have 1 term. Either he's serving either at the end or the middle or the beginning of his term, shall be deemed to have already served 1 term. In other words, President Barrow can only stand for elections in 2021 and not 2026.
Yeah, because
Right.
you know, yeah.
It wasn't put in.
I am all in for that provision. Because here it is making it categorically clear. There is no room for ambiguity. There is no room for interpreting it in another way. Because that was the experience of Senegal when during the time of war, the constitution like we have here came into being to say the president shall serve 2 terms without making any reference to say that the current term is counted. And what in turn said, look, the constitution cannot, like we all know, it is basic precept in law that there is no retrogressive application of the law. So that means relying on that section, I am still eligible to go for another 2 terms.
Yes.
And people
but here is the CRC coming out clearly to say that, look, this new term is calculated, is considered. So that means you just have 1 extra term for you to make up your 2 terms. I think for me that is good.
And it cost Senegal a lot because people died.
Almame, what do you make? What do you make of that?
I think it's entirely proper for a draft constitution and a constitution to make law that has a retrospective effect. It is possible. It has been done before. If we agree that this government is a transitional government, and already it is embattled with a lot of issues, and I think it's the responsible thing to do in a draft constitution like this. And please, as much as we are giving the appropriate accolades to the CRC, this is not the CRC's constitution.
It's everyone's.
It's the people.
It's our constitution.
That's right.
Please, it will be subject to other legal steps, and ultimately the Gambian people will say whether they accept this constitution or not. So that provision, I think, is well advised, and I think is relevant within the context of the Gambia. I think we need to focus on that. What is our context? What is the Gambian experience? so that the laws we make, they stand the test of time.
Because if we don't do that, it means we just don't learn anything from Senegal.
Did you see any disagreement among people who already have started saying, Barrow for 10 years, 100 years?
Oh no, but the thing is,
I'm not saying Barrow for any personal reason, just because he's incumbent. That's what I'm talking. That's why I said.
We should be a serious country. If we said it's 10 years for each person to be president, it's 10 years. So it's that simple.
Yeah, but of course,
but even the
thing is I mean, most of them have not, I mean, factored in the fact that this term, like I said, this very term of his might be counted, and now it's counted.
But the problem is, this is a country of 2 million people, with each one Gambian having the right to become president. Right. What's the point of keeping someone there beyond 10 years?
Right, 10 years.
Yeah. So,
right.
I mean...
unless there are any other serious
because I think also, I mean, there are a few issues here.
Yeah.
I don't think there should be an anti-corruption office.
You think there shouldn't have?
I think it's going to be a waste of time. Because they're going to create an anti-corruption office.
You already said that
we already have too many offices already. You see, we have Auditor General's office.
Yes.
Auditor General's office is understaffed and under-equipped and under-financed. The Gambian law says every public office should be audited, and this audit report should be submitted to the National Assembly.
They often complain that auditing is not complete.
Because they don't even have the capacity. Now, before you bring a so-called anti-corruption office, which for all we know is going to be controlled by the president, its boss will be appointed by the president, everything micromanaged by the president, financed by the government to manage again.
What is that? Is there any
why don't you empower and make the Auditor General's office very independent?
Yeah, okay.
The National Assembly PEC is strictly in charge.
Mustafa, the challenge there is that, you know, let us be clear about the functions. The functions of the Auditor General is to express an opinion on how the financial instructions of the government and how financial resources of the government have been spent and managed over a period, 1 year. Now, when they express that opinion, if they discover fraud or any impropriety,
they can forward it to police.
Yes,
they can have that power.
Yes, no. Just listen.
Control the police.
Even the police, when they see that, they take it to court.
Yes.
So there are all these steps that, in the normal practice, it may have been a misstatement on the part of the government agency audited, or there may have been some other reasons quite different from corruption. But I think what you were saying is entirely correct, that we cannot have this proliferation
of commissions
of institutions that are not properly resourced. Firstly, I made same mention about the NCCE, and I see it again in the Constitution. I really think that the civic education function should be given to civil society. And government make sure that we have good schools, good institutions, and make sure that our values are something that our children would grow up with pride. Because these institutions, we keep putting them out there and spending a lot of our own money, and they are not really effective. So really, for me, I mean, I would rather not have the NCCE in our constitution, but a anti-corruption commission is not only long overdue. I mean, it would be accompanied by legislation such as whistleblowing, because sometimes these things, like I was saying earlier, they happen in private. And they would be in the office, and Lamin Cham would see that this is not correct, this is unconstitutional. And if there is a protection for him to take the complaint to an independent body, he was asking for an independent body. So I think in that ecosystem, you have the public protector, you have the anti-corruption commission, you have the human rights commission, because all these commissions, they have a mandate. And once they are starting to do that investigation, I mean, we always insist, it must be based on due process. But all of this also links back to the kind of National Assembly we have and the kind of laws we have.
Good.
Because it's not...
But how about if you don't have the resources? Because if the current state of the Gambia is anything to go by, the resources to finance the full operation of these offices are not there.
The resources are found.
Yeah.
Resources are created. Because, you know, if you go around and you want to build very good schools for the 21st century kids, your kids, my kids, and Lamin's kids, I mean, you are going to give maybe 10,000 new teachers work. You are going to give the businessman construction work. You are going to give the IT man design work. I mean, unless the economy is productive, our tax base will not expand. Our quality of human capital will not improve. It's a virtuous circle. And that is what we need to create, and we need the blueprint to come from our constitution.
Right. I think we got now to the bills that have already attracted controversy even before they are tabled before the National Assembly. And one of them is much criticized, and that is before we come to media affairs. We talk about this this criminal code, which basically is saying that now one must think twice before you can insult or even criticize the president or public officers in one way or the other.
Actually, that's what you get on the surface when you see it. That's not what it's actually saying. Even if you standard publish a story that makes people angry or dissatisfied with Barrow, you can be arrested.
Good.
Because it just says, any person who insults or does any act to bring into hatred or contempt or to excite disaffection against the president or the government of the Gambia as by law established. So even if government is corrupt...
If I caught Mama Kande criticizing, saying that Barrow is corrupt or is misappropriating our funds,
not even the
I can get into trouble for that.
Even if you get full-blown evidence that Barrow is engaged in corruption and you publish it, you can still be liable.
Wow.
And see,
that's how ridiculous it is.
In addition to the fact that the provision is ridiculous, see the offenses that are attached to it, whether it's proportionate. The offense in two folds. One is a minimum charge of 50,000, a minimum
or a
fine
year's
of 50,000,
imprisonment.
or at least 1 year. That means there is no upper limit.
Yeah.
That's my interpretation of that. It can be 1 million. But see the offense, for example, if it is an offense of just insulting the president, let's say, you are a bastard, for example. In our laws, it's an insult. And it's an insult to the president or and to the mom also. For just saying you are a bastard to a public official or to the president who is paid by the taxpayers, you can go to jail for at least 1 year. Or it can even be 10 years. It can be at least 50,000. It can be $1 million.
And even to my local...
It's not proportionate.
And it's directed at the media.
If I said my local National Assembly member is useless, it can still be categorized.
It's an insult.
It's an insult.
Yeah, see, I don't know, because my even problem with this thing is, does it have to be through a medium or does it have to be between?
No, it doesn't have to be through a medium.
So that's the way the provision
Can you enlighten us on this? Is it different from the sedition laws that was here in Kenya? It's very different.
I really think, for me, I have said this many times, that if you want to base your government on the rule of law, it means that you have just laws. Laws that are effective and are helping people realize their dreams. The people who pay the taxes, who vote in elections. Again, when it comes to lawmaking, we always make reference to our constitution. I have said this several times to media practitioners, to public officers, that the first constitution, written constitution in the modern era, is the American Constitution. And it came without a Bill of Rights. All these human rights we are talking about came from, they got their inspiration from the American Constitution. The American Constitution came out of a war against Britain, a revolutionary war against Britain. And they had a declaration of intent. What is the purpose of government? The purpose of government is to secure the happiness of the greatest number of people. Now, all these issues around human rights, around civil liberties, the only entity that threatens it or interferes with it or wants to control it is the government. What the Americans have done in their wisdom, their First Amendment is saying that the government cannot touch these invaluable rights. Yes. So, I mean, that is why I have refused to participate in this kind of debates. And I hope the National Assembly will tell the government that this kind of effort in a democracy is a waste of the taxpayers' time, and it is a statement of intent from the government that you have no interest in protecting and preserving the fundamental rights of the people. It is as simple as that.
So
and I think all the media
completely out of place in the society that we call ourselves.
Completely.
In fact, let me just tell you. When Bartamedi went to the
Attorney General.
The Attorney General, but he's Bartamedi.
Okay.
So when he went to the Supreme Court in May last year, right? What he said there was that the Gambia government will not defend sedition. We will not defend criminal defamation because, in our opinion, these laws are unconstitutional. It was the decision of the Supreme Court to say that, well, this sedition as it applies to the office of the president and the president is necessary restriction, right? It's reasonable in a democracy. But they said as it applies to the government, as they put it here, because these people said even excitement against the government. They said that is unconstitutional and it's aimed at shielding the government from public scrutiny.
So why should those? Why do you?
So this is unconstitutional by Supreme Court.
Why do you think it at a time when we consider to have regained our rights that we lost the last 22 years? Why should we come up with? Why is the need? Where did the government find the need to do this?
And that's where they are clouding it, because in the interviews I've seen with Bar talking, he's only talking about parental insult. He's not talking about this first one, which I hope they may, I hear now they may have taken it out, the first one, and to keep the second one because they bothered about parental insults. But in the first one, it's serious because it targets media. Particularly.
Absolutely, yes. Not just in
so
media.
Imagine anything that causes
freedom.
Imagine anything that causes dissatisfaction, the public to be dissatisfied with the president, to be a crime. Imagine that in your wildest imagination. In a democracy.
So in essence, I think what the Minister of Justice or the government is trying to do at this point is, like Mustafa said, is to introduce sedition but under different name.
And broaden it even worse.
It's sedition, then the part of sedition that was repealed or quashed by the Supreme Court includes the part that says sedition that is directed at the government. But here now they've included the provision of the government to say even to say anything that brings into hatred or contempt or even excite dissatisfaction against the government. Not only the president, against the government is punishable.
So now they have
even if you do anything that makes people angry against Nawek.
Yes. That was exactly how sedition was defined.
This is how arcade.
Very quickly, what do you,
I can't even understand how anybody can sit down and think about this one.
Do you know from now whether the National Assembly members whose job will be to throw this out or to adapt it have this knowledge, are knowledgeable about this?
Of course, this is plain text. There is nobody in the National Assembly who cannot read.
In the current composition of the National Assembly, what do you expect this bill? Do you think this bill has any chance?
Well, except if they don't read this particular provision. But anybody with his right mind, having read this provision, I'm sure would either say that this provision should not pass, this particular amendment should not pass, or should pass with amendment by removing some of these new insertions.
There
are some progressive parts in the amendment.
Yes.
Of course, I think also the issue on definition of sex or how should sex be done. I don't think government has any business in those kind of things. I think, I know the temptation is...
You're talking about
But even gay, why must any government talk about gay in a law? What's the business of government talking about gay rights in a gay or anti-gay in a law?
Okay, now
government should not even, in my opinion, when you even if you are anti-gay and you put it in the law, you even propagating it.
Propagating it.
No,
Yeah,
so
for me, I think we should be silent on the issues of.
It was already in the laws.
Now,
and they are amending the laws.
Yes, let's move on. Let's move on because we still have the UDP thing. But let's go to the other one, the media service bill. Jahate, the program officer at the Gambia Press Union, when you first saw it, I know journalists are up in arms against it. What is the bone of contention?
Let me first clarify the misinformation, probably, if I can put it that way, that is going on to say that the GPU was consulted or the GPU and other stakeholders were consulted in the drafting validation.
Who said that?
Submission of this thing. I understand the Minister of Information said the same thing, and the Minister of Justice also said the same thing. Of course, I wasn't at a platform where they said this, but through media reports, the two ministers had said this thing at some point. So the GPU, as we are talking here right now, has assembled a committee of, eminent people who are going through this particular bill for the GPU and the general Gambia media fraternity to take a definitive position on this thing. So that will be done by Monday latest. But I must say at this point is that the GPU was never consulted at any process in the drafting of this law. The only time that we knew about this was when one of our partners, Article 19, told us that they were working on this bill. And at some point, we linked them to our lawyer who worked with us in the drafting of the Access to Information Bill to also provide them with some feedback on the law. But that was sent from Article 19 directly to our lawyer and back to Article 19.
Isn't that not what they meant consultation?
No,
that is a different
just on retainers for the GPU. Doesn't work with the GPU full-time or part-time. We only go to you on need basis when the need arises. And we don't even know as a union whether the opinion provided by the lawyer is captured in the bill. Because we have not seen the draft that was provided to her, and we have not seen her opinion that was sent back to Article 19. So we can safely say this bill as it is today. We are just seeing it for the first time.
And what are the trouble spots? What are the troubling things?
I haven't read it, like I said. We are seeing it for the first time in the last 2 days. But what I do know is, having read it at the superficial level, I was mainly, one of the things this bill seeks to do is to establish a Gambian independent media authority. That's mainly what this bill seeks to do. Of course, it has some other powers.
And this is established by...
But the media, this particular body that this bill is establishing, the board is appointed by the president. The director general appointed by the president. Even the unit directors are appointed by the president. The complaint of the GPU before was that the regulation of the broadcast,
the broadcast
was initially,
media.
the broadcast media, the television and the radio, was initially given to Pura. But we already know that Pura is overstretched. Because if you look at the same institution, it's regulating the ISPs, it's regulating the telecom, it's regulating energy, it's regulating everything. I've given that mandate of regulating broadcast to that institution. We feel it's out of place. So what we need now was to have an independent body, that could be in a better position to regulate the broadcast. This bill is going to establish that. But the problem with that, the establishment of that, is the way the people in that institution are going to be appointed. We criticize Pura for not being independent because of the way they are directors and the way they are established. That's the same thing this bill is going to replace. Because the board here is solely going to be appointed by the president. Of course, in consultation with the Public Service Commission. But we know how the public service people are even appointed. The director general and even the unit directors. So technically, everybody there will be appointed by the president.
Apart from the fact that it may just be a commission that's going to be appointed by the president, whose whims and caprices they may serve. There are problems like licensing of radios, how they will operate, etc. Can we deal with that very quickly?
Radios going forward, of course, even currently the radios are to be registered. We know that radio registration involves some technicalities. There is spectrum issues there for the broadcast also. There is issue of, the frequency management. So we are not entirely against radio registration when it comes to it, because radio, unlike newspaper, has some technical issues that needs to be regulated. Because we know under the ITU, frequencies are assigned to countries in lump sum. And it is the job of this regulatory institution like this that is in charge of, splitting it based on entities, which is not entirely bad. But if you see the same bill also is going to register the print media.
Exactly.
The registration of the print media. And in the 2004 analysis of Article 19 of Gambian laws, Article 19 is arguing that under international best practices, it's not even good to register the media, the print media. But we've seen that is what exactly is going to happen.
It's going to happen in this.
The print media will be registered. Of course, this bill is also going to repeal the Newspaper Amendment Act.
Exactly.
The Newspaper Amendment Act, in addition to registering newspapers, or in the process of registering newspapers, makes it mandatory for newspaper owners to deposit a bond of $500,000. This bill is going to remove that.
Going to remove
that is progressive, but it's still going to be registered anyway. The newspapers are going to be registered. And we don't know, what is even not clear in this bill is that whether the authority has the power to refuse your registration. That is not said there. It is only saying that you need to go there to be registered before you start. But it doesn't say whether the institution, the regulatory body, has the power to deny you. And if they deny you, do you have any cause to repeal against that decision? Some of those things are not clear. But that is also because the bill had not gone through any consultation process. It has not gone through any stakeholder engagement process. When these things were done, had they been done in the past, we may not have the bill as it is today.
So of course, the entire media fraternity is not happy with this thing. One, because they are not been consulted, and everything here doesn't serve their interest, and it's all designed to curtail their freedom, etc., etc.
That's the thing.
So now, what is the message of the GPU and this thing to the parliamentarians and the general public?
For now, the message of GPU is clear. Let me first say the position of the GPU is clear. We are not making any definitive position without reading the bill and digesting it in totality. And that is
you mentioned this committee, which is
a committee has been assembled to do that. But from a superficial level, we must say that this bill must not pass as it is. It cannot be passed as it is, because it is going to defeat the entire purpose that it is even going to be established. You cannot have a body to regulate the media that is regulated by the politicians. And we are saying that we're taking regulation from PURA, the current body that is in charge of media, broadcast media regulation, because they are not independent, because they are not effective.
So we are putting in the hands of an even more partisan body.
The same institution. That's the problem.
Almami, this again falls in your just categorization that the government has no business and interfering with the rights of the people wherever they go.
I think so, but I think also is because they know that the GPU and the journalistic fraternity is interested in this back and forth. It's not a negotiation. I mean, where this thing has worked, whether it's in Ghana, very close to us, or in the US, as I indicated, we have a new constitution. We'll have a new constitution. It's an opportunity to have a fresh start, to change the engagement between the citizens and their governors. It is fundamental that all these things are taken into account, especially by institutions that are established for the benefit of the people. So really, I think, as a community and as a citizen of the country, I would want to see in my constitution that government is hands-off when it comes to fundamental human rights. That is the only way we can be assured that yes, you describe all these human rights, and they are great, but you must make them live. You must make them realizable. You must make them in a very inexpensive way, because it takes time. There is so much analysis. There is so much back and forth. Lawyers are engaged. Article 19 is engaged. I mean, for what? That time and that resource could be spent in building the capacity of journalists to another level. But really, this is what we have been doing during the Jammeh era. You remember this. You are old enough to know that Hassan Mane took a minister to court.
6 months, yes.
So really, we don't want to regress. We don't want to go back to the past. We have models and examples that have worked. Why can't we adopt them?
Good point. Yes, before we change the topic here.
If you look at one of the provisions of this Act under Section 16, under Section 6, it's saying that the authority, that's the new institution that is to be established, they have the power to prohibit, to supervise, control, censor news by any person or authority prior to publication.
Wow.
Prior to publication. That's
prior to publication.
That's what this authority has.
So that means if I have an article on Monday when this bill is passed, I can be compelled to say what I'm going to write about.
Exactly.
It's completely,
it's
quite unacceptable.
Exactly. But if you look at the constitution, the new constitution is saying that this cannot happen. Already there is even a conflict.
So already there is a conflict
between the bill and the new constitution that is going to be put in place. So in essence, there are so many problematic, apart from the institution that it is creating, there are so many problematic clauses in this particular provision.
Okay. Yeah. Right. Now we turn, of course, to the major story of the week, because we are barely 5 minutes or so towards the end of the program. And it's been announced over the last 24 hours, was it 2048 now, that the United Democratic Party has expelled 7 National Assembly members whom they considered, of course, to have either changed their loyalty or have now become disloyal to the party, which helped them to be elected to represent the people in those constituencies, at least 7 of them. Almame Fandintal is the Public Relations Officer. Almame, now, thank you very much for those insights on legal matters. Now we are going political. Why do you find the cause to expel National Assembly members? Why? Couldn't you have got them, talk to them, and get them to come back to the fold? Or is it not their rights to form political opinions of their own, even though they know that they come from a party?
It's not a matter about that. They are a member of a party, at least until their removal from the party. That has a constitution. It has rules and regulation as to how a member should behave. And this thing is long in the making. After Congress 2018, December 2018, we notice these National Assembly members, they have changed their engagement with the party, both at the constituency level and at the national level. And they have been calling individually and as a collective to raise this issue with them. That you are a member of this party, you have obligations to the party. What is the reason why you are not fulfilling those obligations? And they will say that, no, we are 100% members of the parties. We are committed to the ideals of the party. And then we will see them in action, actually going back to their normal behavior. So, I mean, their constituencies themselves, the executive, UDP executive that are there, have approached the party on several occasions to register their dissatisfaction with the National Assembly members.
I see.
And that was going on, and we were hoping that they will do the honorable thing and resign. Because if they resign, there would be a by-election. But they also played the long game. You know, and we got to a point we felt, well, really, there is no need to do this cat and mouse game anymore. And yeah, we parted ways.
Now, with the law, of course, having since changed, since the beginning of the Third Republic, expelling a National Assembly member does not have any much impact on him, because he will not lose his seat immediately. There will be no by-election. What kind of impact would this have? Any difference? I mean, the National Assembly members could say, okay, take your party. My seat is not affected. I can continue up to 2022, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, we were not doing it for effect. It was not a stunt. It was a deliberate action. I told you, this has been going on for a whole year. And our patience has been tested. I mean, this is again up to the people who elected them. We nurtured these people. Politically, they were unknown individuals. It was the stamp of the UDP that elevated them to this position. So the people who supported the UDP to elect them they're still with the UDP.
Okay, if that is the case, isn't there a provision that allowed them to be recalled? Is the UDP going that far? You think you have the...
No, the legislation is not there. Yeah, I mean, the National Assembly should have made it under the 1997 Constitution.
But it's not there.
It's not there. So really, I mean, for us, we are not on a battlefront with these guys.
Okay. You wouldn't go that far. You wouldn't go even if it is there.
No, if at all it was there, obviously we will organize. I mean, whatever the law says, as we are speaking, this is the steps we are going to take.
Okay.
But we are trying to consolidate and sanitize our party, you know, because you cannot be
But are you not achieving exactly the opposite by ostracizing people, you know, from your group? When you expel them, they, I mean, they...
No, but Lamin, I just explained to you clearly.
Yeah, could it have another approach? I mean, you have exhausted all possible means to get them to sell.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, these are people that have been made by the UDP.
UDP, absolutely.
And the people who helped make them, they are the same people who came and complained about them.
Yeah.
So those people are still with the UDP.
Yeah, like we saw in Busumbala last time.
There you are.
Mustafa, what is this UDP just getting angry or necessarily bitter, or why do you think they should go to this extreme by expelling from their party sitting national members? They found them they can only be useful to the party, or what?
Well, neither of these parties have lost anything anyway. Because I mean, I don't want to be in the party. I leave. I no longer believe in the values of the party. I leave.
They didn't leave.
So no, if you are called by the party, you don't go to party meetings. Technically, even though you've not said it, you're not with the party.
Absolutely.
That shows you no longer believe in the values of the party. And then we've seen these things have dragged on a lot of time. Parties are based on certain values. They're built on certain principles. And if they also believe that certain people don't share those values, they don't share those principles, they have the right to say, well, we will expel you, because people are expelled under certain clauses within the constitutions of parties. So they're not just expelled like that. So you must have fallen foul with that law within the party but also the reason why I said does not affect, neither affects UDP nor these other people, is that clearly there was a tension. I mean, this has been a long time. And we've been following it. Everybody knew that certain parliamentary members don't vote along the party's line.
Can it be argued that in the long run it may affect the NAMs, who probably might aspire to seek re-election? If Almame's suggestion that the majority of the people in those constituencies are UDP, they will have problems in getting re-elected.
Of course, again, it's entirely the decision of the individual to decide whether to belong or not to belong, right? So if they choose to not belong to UDP, if there are consequences to that, then they would face it. Clearly, I'm sure they must have prepared their minds to face whatever consequences, if there are any.
No, they refuse. They refuse to say that they are not UDP.
But they've always claimed they are UDP.
They are UDP, yeah.
But you felt that's just
it's just talk.
Lip service.
It's just talk.
So they want to maintain relevance or some acceptance from UDP members.
No, they don't want to forgo what the prestige that the UDP has bestowed on them. Because if they stand for elections, if they were confident that they can win elections, they will resign.
Yeah, it's not a valid point. If they are confident that they are still popular.
No, I mean, but they can also even if I am confident that I can win an election, I'm not suddenly going to resign to spend another money and go to election.
No, but it's a test.
But of course,
it's a test of to seek trust.
Well, in a
democracy, when there are doubts now about legitimacy, you resign.
But I still have my legitimacy anyways, because the people who voted for
do you think from your own perspective, these MPs there resigned, if they believe in their so-called newfound popularity, would they dare to go by elections? They wouldn't.
Well, I think, like they said, the honorable thing that they should have done from the beginning was, if you belong to an institution or an organization and you don't know what's about their values, it was only incumbent upon you for you to say, guys, thank you. I used to belong to you, but I have seen some things that I don't like. I am pulling out. If that is not done, like the political party or even the Gambia as a country, everything or every institution should operate based on laws. I mean, violating those laws should attract some sanctions, depending on the level of violation, the level of sanction also. If you violated a very fundamental principle of any organization, be it political party or not, violating their fundamental principles should attract some sanctions. And those sanctions, like the UDP in this case, was to omit.
Why don't we take this, to be fair with the MPs, and take this other analysis? These MPs found themselves in a confused situation. The UDP and Mr. Barrow, whose side they have been accused of now following, used to be one and the same.
Yes.
So they found themselves between two people who are one and the same, and they don't want to cross each side.
No, it's totally okay to choose.
Is it not? No. Isn't that not also a dilemma that they couldn't find?
No, it's not a dilemma.
I mean, is it not the problem between the leadership that caused the confusion in the first place?
There is no confusion. There is no issue here. These people were elected by people. They were not elected by Usainu Dabo or Adama Barrow or anybody. They were elected by constituencies on a party platform.
Okay, you were still taking this decision back to the people still.
Absolutely. I mean, and also making this devil's advocate argument for them. I think it's a very simple matter, really, if you are serious about politics, because we have a responsibility as Gambians that only the people who are serious about building this nation should be representing us.
Yes.
If you don't know your responsibilities as a member of the National Assembly, or you don't know who you owe allegiance to, clearly Gambians should be asking this question.
I see.
What are you doing in the National Assembly?
So, 7 out of 31, is it? 31.
8 out of 31.
8 out of 31. So you are left with?
23, I think.
Still there.
It's a journalist mathematics, but
still,
I think
still they are the, still,
it's very good mathematics.
Still they are the single largest in the National Assembly. Yes. Where do you think these people will go? With of course.
So let me just say that you know, I follow the National Assembly.
Yes.
And I've been following
That's
this division for the division for some time. But so UDP is not the only affected party. So if you want to know the National Assembly, you have to look at the voting patterns.
Okay.
Now, PDUIs aside, Barrow has sympathizers. PDUIs aside.
You cannot see PDUI members
and APRC. PDUIs and APRC aside,
will not.
Barrow has sympathizers in every camp at that place.
There's only 2 camps now.
Well, you have NRP and you have GDC, particularly GDC.
So if he has 8 already from UDP, there's 10 more to go in between.
Well, he does have sympathizers. So I'm not saying he has people who are ready to leave their party. But I am saying there is a reason why Kande is angry.
Now, if the new constitution is adopted and they become independent candidates, they will have to go to by-election.
Oh,
that's what the new constitution is saying.
That's quite an observation. Did you say that there is a provision that
in the new constitution, the new draft, if they become an independent or if they move to any other party, they will go to by-election.
Oh, so what do they do? So is that what you have foreseen?
No, we haven't foreseen that. Seriously. We made our decision before the...
And of course also, before the new constitution comes, this term would have ended.
Oh, you know what?
I think maybe by June latest we will have a referendum.
You never know when...
And then it will be promulgated.
Where is the delay coming from now?
Whether feet will be dragged on some issues. But anyway, that's not important. But my point
is... this is not political. This is purely legal analysis. Are you saying that there is a possibility that when this constitution is voted in sometime next year, and this provision which says if you move to another party from your party, you can become independent, and then you have to seek by-election. You have to seek election.
Of course.
So there will be no.
But you know, we always forget that the political parties also need protection as the main stakeholders in any democratic dispensation.
Okay.
So I mean, what has happened with the Jammeh era politics is that politics was always about him. But in a functioning democracy, you cannot be raised by a party. and they expend their time.
You become a delinquent, rebellious to that party.
So the point also is, you see, for me, it's not the party. For me, it's the issue of legitimacy. If you've come to me and I've entrusted you with my vote, my voice, you are representing me. In politics, people don't represent themselves, they represent values and interests, right? Now, if you now leave me, you are leaving my values and my interests. You need to come back to me. Let me know whether I will in fact vote for the new interests and new values you stand for. For me, that's in order.
So that is a spot of bother, according to the analysis we had from Almame, from these MPs who have just been expelled. They will have a dilemma. They might as well found themselves to be independent and be forced
I'm not sure this particular constitution as it is today is going to affect them.
No. This law will not affect
this
them.
law is
it's not this one.
No,
it's a new
this
one.
law
that is after the coming into force of the law. And you now change seat. Then you can
okay, that's it. But now, another thing is now, we said these are 8 people, and we all agree they are heading to Barrow whenever his party comes. And you said that you don't discount the fact that he could still have members from GDC and NRP.
Yeah.
Those
But that's
total,
still,
no, those
that's
total
still,
are 10. So assuming he took all that 10, which is quite unlikely. Assuming he picked all those things, he has 18.
Yes.
He
is not going to take all of. No,
he's
not going to take all of.
Assuming he got 18. He's still sort of UDP.
What do you mean if he got 18?
What I'm trying to say, if there is a bill that shoots him in Parliament, example, and he wants support from National Assembly members.
If you are looking for...
And he believes he can count on the 8 expelled UDPs, and he's looking for... I'm assuming if he get all those, he can only get 18.
Cham, let's agree on this. If you are looking for, as for a president, for a sitting president in this country, in the history of this country, there has never been any in whose hands power is less concentrated as Barrow.
Yeah, that's it. So
That's the simplest thing. Barrow does not control the National Assembly. He does not control the councils. He does not control the chairmanship. I think those are all the councils, the wards and the chairman and all that stuff. So he is not controlling
but
that.
He appoints and fires. So people.
Of course, but he is in charge of the executive.
People from Bali will still.
But he's in charge of the executive. So I mean, if you ask me, this is a good division of power. I mean, it's a good resolution. If you ask me, I mean, some people are in charge of National Assembly, and because combined, if APRC, UDP, and PDOIS did not agree together with anything,
it cannot work.
It won't pass.
And you can see Doi, of course, working with Barrow.
It's gonna be difficult.
It's gonna be difficult.
With their personal.
No, I mean, I don't look at it that way even. I mean, the important thing. No. I mean, the important thing is
because they are principled and they don't
want. Yes. One respects that. Yeah. One respects that in this political frame.
Yeah.
The hope is that going forward, our politics would be informed by the best interests of this country.
Okay.
And anybody who is pursuing that, I can assure you 100% that UDP will support you. And I think Doi also giving their credentials and their track record in this country. I mean, we saw it during this impasse. Because leadership is always an opportunity to serve the people. I mean, if you don't subscribe to that view and you want to just reduce it to a zero-sum game and try to get configurations, I think you are going on the wrong path. That's a kind of politics that is going to destroy this country.
Good. And I think at this point we must say we tried actually to get at least one of the expelled MPs to get their side of the story on this panel, but we were not able to get them. We will of course be happy to have one or two of them to say what will their new life be without the UDP and whether their expulsion is in any way right in their view. That might be next week, I hope. But at this point, of course, we have to say bye-bye, and my thanks to Almame Fandintal, who played 2 roles here today, both as a spokesman of the UDP, who have just followed the axe over 8 MPs, and of course his insights into the draft constitution and other bills that are coming before Parliament in December. Mustafa Kenal of Kerfatu and Lamin Jahate, who is the head of programs at the GPU. Thank you very much, all gentlemen, and until we come back next week, goodbye for now.
My name is Philip Sambu, and I'm the CEO of Corporate Asset Solutions. Corporate Asset Solutions, as you know, it's a newly established company here in the Gambia. Currently, we would have an electronics store, which we've called CAS Electronics. CAS would be the acronym for Corporate Asset Solutions. The electronics component of it would also come in two forms. We would have a traditional store that is located on 10 Kairaba Avenue, and we would also have an online store on the website, you know, and the website would also be www.cas.supplies, and that would be the online store. But the traditional would be located on 10 Kairaba Avenue. This has been my line of business for the past 15 years. You know, I've been into electronics for the past 15 years, meaning it's experience that we're bringing on the table to form a company. All right. In other words, I've been into the electronics business for the past 15 years. I worked as a manager for LG Gambia for the past 15 years. And it is after a thought that, you know, of course with a vision, that we thought we had a plan that at some point we would want to set up our own company and be able to employ people, young Gambians, that we will be able to work along with, help them grow as we grow in as well, and thereby contribute to the socio-economic development of the country. Challenges would always come in business. There would always be challenges. But we thank God, I think the major challenge one would have to operate a business is the securing of funds. Apart from that, once you've got a business plan and you basically have a sense of direction of where you are going, there should be no hurdles. Any other thing, any other challenge that comes along the way, you should be able to overcome it or face it. All right. But with regards to the funds, which is basically a major challenge of starting or operating businesses here in the Gambia, we've been able to start up small, as you can see, and we were able to tap up some funds from family members and friends. Currently, we would have a core staff base of four, a core staff base of 4, but we would also have part-time staffs, meaning temporal staffs. Temporal staffs that we would hire to do works for us in the event that we are so much, the teams that are on the ground are a bit too busy. In other words, as you know, with regards to air conditioning, it's a season. There comes a time that Eugene might need an AC, Fatu might need an AC, Umar might need an AC, and all of these people need it in the same day. So what we do is we outsource these, of course, experienced technicians. We would have a whole list of technicians under our belt. So we would outsource these works to these technicians, and they are paid accordingly. Clienteles are everyone. All clienteles are all over. All Gambians are clienteles. We have had a good response since we started last year, September, that the Gambian people have been walking to our doorsteps and looking at our products and patronizing us along the line, and we are grateful. In 5 years, we will be talking about a group of companies. If you take a look at it, is Corporate Asset Solutions as the parent body. Currently, we have created what we call CAS Electronics, which is the consumer part of it. We also have an online store, which I told you beforehand, which is the CAS.supplies. That's two. Concurrently, we're looking at CAS building materials and a whole lot of stuff. So basically, we're looking at a group of companies. We think it is high time that young Gambians participate in the development of this country. We've seen the likes of Mohamed Jah. We've seen the likes of Michel Husseini. These are people that have built a group of companies, and they are people just like me and you. They have brains and they think. So we can actually be able to do the same. And it is only in us Gambians taking charge of the business industry that our economy would stay stronger. We are located on 10 Kairaba Avenue, and that would be exactly opposite the Serekunda West mini stadium, mini park we call it. For our phone numbers will be 438-2233, 438-2233, and that's our office number. This number is accessible all the time. You can also reach me on the cell phone on 7955813. We would have an email address, which is info@cas.supplies. But I would encourage people to also visit our website. It will be amazing when you check our website. All these informations, the phone numbers, everything will be there. And you will be able to see all our product lineups, all the services that we do. You can even do payments on our website. And, deliveries will be effected thereby. We believe that the future of buying and selling, it's online. So that's why we have added the online portfolio to our traditional store.
ñoo ñëw ak yéen rek skincare plus nara jàkkaarloo ak yéen waxtaan ak yéen tuuti rek si suñu tube suñu baax emuñ rek ci ay diw waaye comme ni ngeen ko xamee rek dañoo yëngu ci ay tube te yënguwuñ nag si just any tube suñ tube bu nekk 5 star jazz na la 5 star just na mooy just na bi gën a pire moom la ñoo cuub palmaan bi gën a fort moom la ñoo liggéeyee ñun rek si cuub dara du doy day des not only dañoo cuub but bu la neexee ñu cuubal la ba pare nag ñawal la. We not all about skin, we are skin care and the plus does come in so many different ways.
No, ini bara. Alright, okay.
Welcome.
Basically, lot of lala me along is cool, man. That I can really relax.
What the madam?
Yeah,
what the madam?
Yeah.
Let them do somebody.
That's right.
Grand Villa. We love the Lord, we love the moon and
Come on, Grand Villa.
That's fine.
Slowly. Yes.
No. Yeah, actually, a lot of people are basically me alone because they relax. So it's okay to get out. I can at least
Nina from Nisewa, Nidia, Nena Grand Villa is the best guest house in the Gambia.
Beji andikam Grand Villa Guest House. Na labungol bebe senyaring adu na bungol bebe nyarandiring coming ibe la fila ila suwe taranyame. Ntel Grand Villa na kiliano la lafino wale mukangotin telkang. Na ye sabati Grand Villa yela kodo na fa kalamuta.
Oh man, this is like a paradise.
I know.
I so much love this place.
Thank you.
Trust me, I love this place.
You can move somebody and watching what?
Yeah.
And know the Gambia. Grand Villa.
I tell you. I love this place. Okay. I love this place, man. Oh yeah.
Ni lefta na kuo keso sotola. Futama Oljuntum Paradise Estate. Mbaya kumandiroke 7527218. Wale futana website auto www.grandvillaguesthouse.com. Grand Villa Guest House.
Dreaming of owning a property in a prime location with great proximity and fantastic neighborhood? EJ Investments Sanyang Seaview Estate is the best choice you have been waiting for. Our Sanyang Seaview Estate is approximately 15 minutes drive away from the busy hub of Brusubi roundabout and into the heart of nature, where you can have a peaceful and relaxed lifestyle with your family. You can buy a finished 4-bedroom story with 5-year flexible payment plan or a service plot with 2-year payment plan option. With over 300 homes, you will enjoy big tar roads with covered drainage, modern electrification with solar street lights, gated entrance with security post, and a breath-catching experience of our beautiful sea view and lake view. You can own a home today at our Sanyang Seaview Estate. Call us today on 446-4838 or 325-9220. Visit our website on ejinvestments.net. EJ Investments, first in property.
yara ñilla domoro ka diaten
boy jannon CK's restaurant
sa na ko be ni na dimbal nimbe domoro kala janno
domoro seneyata adiyata topotoro fanan kende ma bije luntan during tamala abeka domoro ki janni adi manda wala de te ka we bijele anim fanan ka fadi jang ikono e fa e ka fa minne ko pastry anim bakery iko fanan be kalele ba de lomba conference lomba workshop lomba ye fo fendil lo dunia kono domoro betama ñillom international o toda number 1
amanke ba domola jandama
e sa domo jang is atariya
wo mu kubandi
sa na ko sa futandin
oto sa na ko be mu CK's restaurant
ndafa na jannamu yat ni manje dorom bija
aban
CK's restaurant, known for best quality food and customer satisfaction.
na broda min ba Europe Mr. Conte nka bo wala kol kan sai na so ko na mano banta jabo banta tulo ban sai ka bo kol kan anda ka ba office ko na ba dama bulo mutarin ba ka ta simpla no ko mba tunga ne ta ya puriyan ma ko do banta na ta mano sani tulo ni jam
mun da sai tan la broda man balwo service kalam
mun service
balwo service
ni da foronte mo kalam
mun da a fela broda ko abitala internet ol aya ba site la woldo balwo.com nay wo sajje a apu nga ba download la telephone ol na be sandiro to ni wal na be sidin ala office ko ndama manjar pour ay ta bank ko kodoki abe sidin office ko na daminto e do message so e telephone ko no e biti ko be Gambia dawda biti ko ba belo ko ta tano dawda yeta tempo tawo
wodama yala balwo service na ta molda han na ta nyole kan fi janna broda ka ko ta nyole ko ayo ko ti ta
balwo service dinkirala jampo o manken na kolaya ko balwo service al demano kaje ko ale do mor feŋol sang alla dimbaya mole ana lakkanun tewol wato bela ani wat sudum fanan kono balwo service la dinkiralu ani la do kunyolu e be banko karo beto kabirin katon fo koyna nalla fa ko ku ko tan suro balwo service la kolto ali commandi telephone la no la milbuko 9400213 7694319 wala 3192870 wala hankabi alta internet oto alila kolu jibe www.baluwo.com.
Do you live abroad and want to build your dream home in the Gambia without risking your funds and family ties? Do you want a household name that is trustworthy and efficient? A name that will continue to give you updates on the project from the beginning to the very end with videos and pictures? If your answer is yes, then worry no more. Boss Construction and Asset Management is here for you. If you live outside the Gambia and want to build your dream home, then this is ideal for you. Just reach out to Boss Construction and let's start building the dream home into a reality. With Boss Construction, the difference is clear. We give you value for money. Some of our services includes the following: construction management, building equipment rentals, rent management, purchase and leasing, asset management, and many more. For more information, please contact 282-4945. Better still, send us an email, bossgambia@gmail.com, or you can also visit our website on www.bossgambia.com. Boss Construction, a name you can trust. Boss Construction and Asset Management, keeping families together.